Well, Superman and Lois has returned for a third season, and it's still just as good as it's always been. The episode is called Closer, and it's a demonstration of the whole template of the show that works, where there's a lot of things just on a description alone I would have thought, ugh, I don't want to watch this. Which primarily is high school teenage soap opera stuff, which is an element of the show, but it's so limited that it's fine. Surprisingly enough, a similar aspect was true of Stargirl, which was a little more than Superman in that bit of genre, if you will. But they managed to weave it through narrative and story and plot and character development. And so it wasn't a nuisance, and ultimately didn't really even care that it was there at all. When normally I get irritated with it. But here it's what it is. It's this family drama story about Superman's family that he's made with Lois. And it's an interesting take on it. And quite the solution for a lot of people who always complained about Superman's hard to write for, he's so powerful. And I, even in the face of this version of him, I say that's a lazy excuse for writers who just can't be bothered. Whereas here, the age of the character and whatnot kind of plays in, and by age I mean the icon of Superman that's lasted for so damn long, that seeing him as a father figure, and certainly for his kids here, but also for the audience as well, and that he's the one that gives you an ideal to look up to, and how you're supposed to behave and all that sort of thing. About what Superman is trying to be, and so it's all good. It all works and fits and whatnot. So you catch up back with them, and then they're enjoying their lives. The big threats they had faced seemingly over, but there's new threats looming. The other thing is we're introduced to the new Jonathan. Now this is one of the sad scuttlebutts of shows. I'm not entirely certain what went on there. Did it involve vaccine problems and that sort of thing? I don't know. It's unfortunate. The original actor was pretty good. Worked well with the other actor that plays his brother and all that. But he's gone, and they got a new guy who does look like he's closer to be Jordan's brother than the previous guy in some ways, but then in other ways the other two kind of worked where they just the hair color's the same now. But so far he seems all right, and we'll see where that goes. But they celebrate their birthday, and so of course they're twins, so you kind of have your birthday on the same day as your brother, and all that stuff. Jordan's still in love with Sarah, but she's moved on and just wants to be friends. Yeah, she friend-zoned him, and that doesn't really work. You can be friendly acquaintances, but the idea that you're going to be pals and hang out and stuff, no, because it hurts too much, And that's one of those things, and maybe they'll follow through on that in an intelligent way, and where she's got to realize she's got to let him go and stop, demanding that he has to be a certain way on her terms and all this type of stuff when you've said you're not interested in him anymore, so let him go, but he's still trying to get her back. So there's that part that she's pushing back on, and based on what they did previously, she'll probably get a girlfriend, yeah. But that's about as far as wokeness goes in this show, if you want to call it that. I mean, hey, what are the odds that some girl went to high school as a lesbian? Well, it can happen. so there's that. Meanwhile, Sam Lane is trying to reach out to John Henry Irons' daughter, who, of course, is the daughter of Lois Lane from an alternate universe. And so he reaches out to her, but at the same time, he's trying to recruit her into his projects, and she's put off by it. She thought he just wanted to get to know her, which he did, but he didn't handle it very well. He gets called out by her dad and all that. And that's an interesting thing, although to his defense, he could have said, look, I'm trying to bring you into the world I know so that we can know each other, and that sort of. So my guess is eventually they'll get there where she's going to be a part of his team and whatnot because, she's a little technical genius and all this sort of stuff because she takes after dear old dad and all that. So, okay, fine. Meanwhile, they seemingly looks like Lois might be pregnant. Oh, boy. But it ends on a darker note where the doctor says, you're not pregnant, and this might be something serious. And, uh-oh. So what is it? Does she have cancer or something along those lines? And that might be the deal. They've already spoiled that she's going to be abducted or taken away or, that sort of thing and missing and all that type of stuff. That didn't happen in this episode. But perhaps the story goes that she wants one last big story and she's going after the Bruno Mindham gang of Intergang and all that. Bruno is seen here, I'm assuming, by, I forget the guy's name, but he's been in The Expanse and The Walking Dead and all that. Looks like, it's another race swap character, but, it's Bruno Mannheim. And Bruno Mannheim is important because he's the leader of Intergang, and that's important because it has connections to Apocalypse and Darkseid and all that. Will they do that in this show? Probably not, but who knows? We do know that Lex Luthor is on his way. And no, it will not be Jonathan Cryer. So we'll get to that too. But there is some pretty spectacular action here. And they keep it there. Again, you have to keep it to a minimum because these scenes are expensive. But they do it very well. And it's interesting, Superman has to fly to Metropolis to fight the Atom Man, which, if you're familiar with the old radio shows, that's where Atom Man comes from. But Atom Man is a pawn in a greater scheme, apparently, or what have you. But the fight scenes are really good. And it's... although very brief, of course, but what are you going to do? But it was interesting to note that Metropolis has crowds of people running in fear from the destruction, unlike in Central City when the Flash, it's only, if you're lucky if it's maybe 4 or 5 people, if any at all. The streets are always empty, and it's not like, and the way it was shot, so they frame it better with fire and smoke and the battle and all this stuff. And then also you maybe they had 10 to 15 people there, but you change the angles and you move them around and it looks like it's a lot of people panicking over this superpowered battle and that kind of thing. So they just do it better. But it looks like they have a little more money than the Flash, but also could be they just know how to utilize it better. And so there we go. And Superman's in a fight with him. He tries to calm the guy down and all this sort of stuff. And then this mysterious other villain shows up, which looks a lot like the Green Arrow villain, Onomatopoeia, that I believe Kevin Smith introduced way back when, who I don't think has any superpowers, but appears to have here or maybe some sort of technology or whatever. And, of course, working for Intergang more than likely. But it seems to be this person was able to cast off some sort of illusions. It looked like Atom Man got gunned down, but he wasn't. There were no bullets or anything. So it could be that this character makes you believe you've been shot and you react appropriately. And then manages to fool Superman into thinking there's some other crisis going on. He flies up above the city and then there's nothing. It made him hear things that weren't there. And when he goes back, they've disappeared. Later, we see Atom Man is dead, but they're able to resurrect him under the orders of Bruno Mannheim. And Onomatopoeia is there lurking about. So that's the deal. And Lois is going to stick her nose into it, I'm guessing, and will get kidnapped by them. Then it'll be up to Superman and his boys to figure this out. So they're off to a good start. It's still a great show, and they're going to continue on. They're getting another season, so that was, I thought for sure they would get the axe, just because of the slashing that was going on for Warner Brothers and all that. But this show has potential and promise, and so whether they keep it on CW or put it on HBO Max or license it somewhere else, it has life in it. So it's too bad about Henry Cavill. That's always going to bum me out for a long time. But this is a really nice show. It's a strange anomaly in the era of wokeness. And certainly a lot of lessons to be learned for this approach. It's too late for CW and Arrowverse and all that, but it just continues to be a nice little show. So there you go. Superman and Lois.